house of random, I wouldn't say useless, but just random stuff.
And you're going to Chili's to sit down with the fam, and a goddamn robot pulls up and tries to serve you. You're like, excuse me. I'd like to be a gallon of milk that expires, maybe the 23rd, the 24th, instead of, maybe the 15th, the 16th. You know what I'm saying?
My name would be Evan. You can call me Eve, Ev, Red, Captain Redbeard, Big Red Bastard, fucking Son of Ritz, Red Rob Zombie, Ginger Jesus. We go by a whole bunch of names. But what is up, everybody? Welcome back. Today is the 22nd. Today is the 22nd of November. It's like 10:15-ish. A little bit before 10:15. Hi, everybody. Welcome. The angle's a little weird. Normally, we don't record this early, so this window and all this brightness usually isn't there, so that's why it's like a little off and a little bright right here. But, we are doing what we are doing here. What's up, everybody? Been just working griplessly, but this time we're not going to talk about it for a whole episode and title it that for an episode, because we're just locking in. I think I talked on last week's episode what the game plan is, but basically for the next month, a little over a month, I'm just me grinding, working, saving up money, and then we're going to quit towards the end of October, early November. Then I got no vacation in like the middle of November, which I'm really excited for. But so I just got off, done. I worked Friday to Friday. So that was fun. Last 8 days. And then I had yesterday off, and then I worked today at 2. So what I wanted to do was yesterday I wanted to go up to the mountain, because like for the past fucking months I've been trying to go up there, and it's just me being a custer and time and all that. But I wanted to go up there. There's a really cool spot up there that we will record. Next week's episode will be up there, because thankfully, kind of shittily, it depends on what the week looks like. But so far, this upcoming week, I'll have 3 days off. So I work today, tomorrow, and Tuesday. So I work Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Then I have Wednesday, Thursday, Friday off, work Saturday. But depending on scheduling or whatnot, if they ask me to come in, I might come in on like Wednesday or Thursday just to get the hours up, because I'm just trying to make as much money as possible before I'm done. And I haven't been the best at saving. I got like a couple $100, if that. No, I think I got like a little over $200 in the bank account right now. But I've been working so much this past week that I know this upcoming Wednesday, that's going to be a nice fatty paycheck. So we're going to squirrel that away, pretty much most of that, squirrel that away. Because I knew coming back from Gray Day, because I only worked like not even 20 hours the weekend after Gray Day. So that paycheck was uber light. And then the one before that, I had saved up for Gray Day. So I haven't really had a big paycheck yet to kind of put away and help snowball saving. But this upcoming check will definitely be that, because I don't really. Oh, I bought an update. Water is so good. I was able to get a laptop, and yesterday we did a test stream on the laptop to see what that would be like during vacation. Not too shabby. I was hoping to at least be able, or I guess I was hoping on the very least end to be able to watch media, so that we could still, crunch a whole bunch of movies, watch TV, watch YouTube videos, that good fun stuff. But then I was hoping I'd be able to play like some base games. So I fired up. The only thing I was trying to play that I had downloaded was Bloons Tower Defense 5, which, if you know, you know. Great game. That pretty much kind of pushes the laptop to its end between streaming and then that and then having a tab open or something like that. It's like most of the computer power. So I'm not sure how far into Bloons Tower Defense because it's like it was an online what's called like a flash player game, which is like an online game essentially, and it's just waves of balloons that come through a track, and then you set up these little characters that try and pop them. Anyway, the further you go into the game, like the further rounds you go into, the more stuff that's on the screen. So I think that'll be a little bit more demanding. So I'm not sure how that would go because at like the very beginning playing of it, it's kind of stressing the PC a little bit. So we'll see about balloons. I'm not trying to crash the stream or crash my laptop trying to play balloons. But yeah, that was a decent expense that we had used recently. Because I was trying to think. Ooh, excuse me. Ooh, excuse me. I was trying to think. I was like, damn, bro. Because I haven't been really spending that much money. But at the same time, I don't have that much saved up. And I was like, oh, yeah, that's right. I bought like a $200 refurbished laptop. So thankfully, the laptop works. I'm excited. I got all that worked out. Initially, at first, I was like, oh, shit, I'm going to have to bring like my webcam and my microphone and my mouse and all of these extra parts and pieces. And then last night, I figured out, I was like, oh, the webcam on the laptop itself isn't that bad, so I don't need a separate webcam thing. And then the mouse, I was like, wait a minute, I don't need an extra mouse because I'm literally just gonna be clicking like tabs basically. It's like, oh, I don't need my mouse. I need to bring my mouse because it's not like I'm gonna be moving a whole bunch. And then yeah, I was just able to plug in the microphone, plug in the audio. Yeah, before when I first got it, it was so for whatever reason, I'm not quite sure how, but like on my computer that I use at home, I plug in my headphones into the microphone itself, and the microphone plugs in the computer. And through the microphone is how I have my audio. So I hear everything through the headphones when I talk in the microphone. So when I plugged in that same setup into the laptop, it made it so that the what the microphone was picking up was playing in my ears so I could hear myself like super crisp. Not like it was echoing, but it was literally taking the input of the microphone and then putting it in my headphones. And I was not trying to hear myself while I'm streaming. Like that's not what I was trying to do. So I was trying to figure it out, and all the things I was looking online, nothing was helping out. Lo and behold, I'm not sure what put me onto it, but basically I just unplug the microphone jack from the microphone itself and then plunk it into the laptop. And then I set the microphone input as the microphone and then the output as like the laptop. Lo and behold, then it starts to work where I can talk into it and it records me talking into it, but then I'm not hearing myself while I'm talking. So it wasn't that big of a technological hurdle, but at the same time, that was like the last. I just need to figure that out before I was able to set up the stream because I had all this stuff set up for it. The audio is being wonky. But yeah, we figured out how to get the laptop popping, so we will have mobile streams in the near future. So that'll be cool. Twitch.tv/eel sauce. So that's gonna be fun. But yeah, basically I've just been working, man. I've just been working a whole bunch, but instead of and like this week I got like 30 hours. I think I got like 30 hours this week. And initially when I saw ooh, excuse me. Ooh, fuck, yawning. That's great. Ugh. Initially, when I saw Schedule Elastic, I was like, "Are you kidding me, bro?" But now I'm like, I need the money. Yeah, so I got like just under 30 hours this week with 3 days off, which I'm not the most upset about. Uh, yeah, initially I was gonna get up like really early. Well, not really early. I had my alarm set for like 8:30. I was gonna go get up, take a shower, leave the house by like 9, go up to the mountain, do this up there, zoom back down, render it, edit it, upload it, go to work. But then when I got up, I was really tired because go figure, I make bad choices. I didn't get to bed till like 3 something, almost 4. So that was a W. But yeah, I got up and then I was like, I don't really feel like rushing this, especially going up there and like the view that it is. Like, I don't want to just have to rush the episode because I have something else to do because I needed, whatever the fuck. So I was like, I'm really just racing against time and rushing myself to go get up there, record something for an amount of time, head back home, do all the aforementioned bullshit. So that's why this episode this week is just back in the studio because I was like, I don't feel like really rushing to get this episode out. Like, yes, this episode will be out today, and it's at the very end of the week on Sunday because I've been working and I hadn't put any time away to record. But at the same time, I wasn't trying to. I'm not trying to rush it, especially a cool scenic spot like that. I want to enjoy the time. I want to enjoy being up there. I want to, just enjoy it. So that's partially the reason why we're here back in the stew. Well, a big reason why we're back here in the stew is because when I woke up this morning, I was like, rushing it all just to get up there and record for like an hour and zoom back down, like, doesn't really fit the vibe, not really the mood. So here we are, not rushing, not stressed, and we should still have this episode up before I go to work. If not before I go to work, then I'll be gripless and I'll zoom home, upload it, zoom back. So oh man, yeah, we really haven't been doing much, just been chilling, killing, trying to really think. Yeah, there really hasn't been much going on. Just been streaming every day. Um, just kind of usual. I slept all day yesterday. I could have gone to the mountain, but I did the usual sleep all day number. So I woke up at like 5, didn't get out of bed till like after 6 something, probably. Yeah, after like 6 something is when I actually got out of bed. So that was fun. But I was like, you know what? Obviously, my body needed it or wanted it after working like every day for a week. So I wasn't that pressed. I've been doing my guard card classes, slowly but surely been knocking that out. I'm going to 100% have that done and over with that big amount of time that I have off coming up. Because I'm still going to do classes around the schedule, but I want to have that shit just done, squared away with by the middle of next week so I can just move on, have that done. Because ideally, I'd like to have my guard card before I quit. So then when I'm looking into getting jobs after I'm, not working, that process will be like easier or whatever. Let's see. All right. Yeah, so I'm just kind of banking on that, just waiting for that. Because like I think I said before, I'm either gonna take like the rest of the year off, like November to January off, just kind of chill, or hopefully just get a replacement job in the meantime, doing that, save up money doing security. Who knows? I'm gonna like doing security, and instead of it being like the pivot for me to save money to then do electrician bullshit, that pivot might turn into like the new career or whatever. Because yeah, I still haven't heard back from the heating and cooling place, or like update wise, and that it's been like a couple months at this point, so I'm not sure what's going on with that. At this point, I'm not really. Before I was like, yes, please, thank you, but now I'm just like, all right, I'm gonna go over here and do this while that's doing whatever it is or is not doing. I'm not. So yeah, we're just looking for the security gig, and it's basically just it. Nothing too crazy. So this episode will crank out a whole bunch of reading because I feel like we haven't read much I've been trying to tap back into that. I feel like the reading we haven't done as much of, so this episode will be a lot more reading. Let's see. Give me 1 sec. We'll be right back. It's because it's been a minute. I'm not sure where we read last or left off at. Okay. We'll start back here. I'm not sure where we left off, so we'll just start back here and then keep ripping. So, how a person can preserve their proper character in any situation. Man, the rational animal, can put up with anything except what seems to him irrational. Whatever is rational is tolerable. Physical hardships are not intolerable by nature. The Spartans, for instance, gladly submit to being whipped because they are taught that it is done for good reason. But what about being hanged? Isn't that intolerable? Well, people frequently go and hang themselves whenever they judge that it is a reasonable course of action. In short, reflection will show that people are put off by nothing so much as what they think is unreasonable and attracted to nothing more than what to them seems reasonable. Okay, okay. But standards of reasonableness and unreasonableness vary from one person to the next, just as we consider different things good or bad, harmful or beneficial. Which is why education has no goal more important than bringing our preconception of what is reasonable and unreasonable in alignment with nature. But it is not only but this not only involves weighing the value of externals, it also means considering what agrees with our own individual nature. For one person, it is reasonable to be a bathroom attendant because he only thinks about what punishment and privation lie in wait for him otherwise, and knows that if he accepts the assignment, he will be spared that pain and hardship. Someone else not only finds such a job intolerable for them personally, but finds it intolerable that anyone should have to perform it. But ask me, shall I be a bathroom attendant or not? And I will tell you that earning a living is better than starving to death. So that if you measure your interest by these criteria, go ahead and do it. That's kind of where we're at right now, where it's like, fuck, dude. I mean, scrubbing toilets is better than doing nothing, so I guess I'll go scrub a toilet. But I think in my life I would be a toilet scrubber. No, but here we are, making some kind of bread. Doing some kind of something out here. But it would be beneath my dignity. Well, that is an additional factor that you bring to the question, not me. You are the one who knows yourself, which is to say, you know how much you are worth in your own estimation, and therefore at what price you will sell yourself, because people sell themselves at different rates. That is so true. Fuck. That's literally the whole structure of the current system that we're in right now is like, how much is your time worth? How much will you sell yourself for? Me currently, going rate a little bit above minimum wage. Trying to work on that bill, trying to sell ourselves for a little bit higher bill. So, for instance, Agrippinus told Florus to, quote, go ahead when he was debating whether to attend Nero's festival, maybe even participate. But when Florus asked him why he was not going himself, Agrippinus answered, quote, I don't even consider the possibility, end quote. Taking account of the value of externals, you see, comes at some cost to the value of one's own character. So if you want to know if life or death is better, the answer I give is life. If you ask about pain versus pleasure, I say pleasure is preferable. But if I refuse to participate in Nero's festival, he will kill me. Go ahead and participate then, but I still refuse. Why? Because you think of yourself as no more than a single thread in the robe, whose duty it is to conform to the mass of people, just as a single white thread seemingly has no wish to clash with the remainder of the garment. But I aspire to be the purple stripe, that is, the garment's brilliant hem. However small part it may be, it can still manage to make the garment as a whole attractive. Don't tell me then, quote, be like the rest, because in that case I cannot be the purple stripe. In his actions, Helvidius Priscus showed his awareness of this principle. When Emperor Vespasian, I don't know. When Emperor V sent him word barring him from the Senate, his response was, quote, "You can disqualify me as a senator, but as long as I do remain a member, I must join the assembly," end quote. Quote, "Well, join then. Don't say anything," end quote. "Don't call on me for my vote, and I won't say anything. But I must call on you for your vote, and I have to give you whatever answer I think is right. Answer, and I will kill you. Did I ever say I was immortal? You do your part, and I will do mine. It is your part to kill me, mine to die without flinching. Your part to exile me, mine to leave without protest." And what did Priscus accomplish, who was but a single man? Well, what good does the purple stripe do to the robe? Its luster is a good example to the rest. If it had been someone else in the same situation whom the emperor barred from entering the Senate, he would have probably said, "I'm so grateful you can spare me." In fact, the emperor would not have even bothered to bar him, well aware that the man would either sit there like a blockhead, or if he did speak, would only mouth words he knew Caesar wanted to hear, and would pile additional inanities on besides. A certain athlete, at risk of dying unless his genitals were amputated, made a comparable choice. His brother, a philosopher, went and asked him, "Well, my brother, what's it going to be? Will you have them amputated and return to life in the gymnasium?" The man refused to submit to the indignity, however, and summoned the will to die. Someone asked, "Did he choose death as an athlete or as a philosopher?" As a man," Epictetus said, "one who had competed at the level of the Olympic Games, where he was a familiar figure and a victor more than once, no occasional visitor to the local gym. Someone else might have even allowed his head to be removed, and his life could have been thereby saved thereby. That's what I mean by having consideration for one's character, and it shows how weighty a factor it can be when it is allowed a regular role in one's deliberations. Come, Epictetus, shave off your beard. If I am a philosopher, I will not shave it off, but I will cut off your head. If that will do you any good, then cut it off." Someone asked, "But how do we know what is in keeping with our character?" Well, how does the bull realize its own strength, rushing out to protect the whole herd when a lion attacks? The possession of a particular talent is instinctively sensed by its owner. So, if any of you are so blessed, you will be the first to know it. It is true, however, that no bull reaches maturity in an instant, nor do men become heroes overnight. We must endure a winter training, and can't be dashing into situations for we aren't yet prepared. Consider at what price you will sell your integrity, but please, for God's sake, don't sell it cheap. The grand gesture, the ultimate sacrifice, that perhaps belongs to others, to people of Socrates' class. But if we are endowed by nature with the potential for greatness, why do only some of us achieve it? Well, do all horses become stallions? Are all dogs greyhounds? Even if I lack the talent, I will not abandon the effort on that account. Epictetus will not be better than Socrates, but if I am no worse, I am satisfied. I mean, I will never be Milo either. Nevertheless, I don't neglect my body, nor will I be another Croesus, but still, I don't neglect my property. In short, we do not abandon any discipline for despair or of ever being the best in it. We do not abandon any discipline for despair of ever being the best in it. There we go. How to draw the correct consequences from the fact that God is the father of mankind. Oh shit. God is Papa. This just in, Dad entered chat. Why does ice water have to be so bussin'? Like, who made ice water so fucking good? 10:43. Let me make sure we're still recording. Yes, we are. Okay, good. Good. So, okay. All right. If we could completely subscribe, as we should, to the view that we are all preliminary creatures of God, and that God is Father of both gods and men, I don't believe that we would ever think mean or lowly thoughts about ourselves. If the Emperor adopts you, no one will be able to put up with your pretension. But knowing that you are the Son of God, shouldn't your pride be that much greater? In fact, though, we react quite differently. Two elements are combined in our creation: the body, which we have in common with the beasts, and the reason and good judgment, which we share with the gods. Most of us tend toward the former connection, miserable and mortal though it is, whereas only a few favor this holy and blessed alliance. Since everyone will necessarily treat things in accordance with their beliefs about them, those few who think that they are born for fidelity, respect, and confidence in their use of impressions entertain no mean or ignoble thoughts about themselves, while the majority does the opposite. What am I? A wretched mortal? A feeble piece of flesh? Feeble indeed, but you have something better than the flesh. So why turn away from this and cling to that? Because of this connection, some of us sink to the level of wolves, faithless, vicious, and treacherous. Others turn into lions, wild, savage, uncivilized. But most of us become like foxes, the sorriest of the lot. For what else is a spiteful, malicious man except a fox, or something even lower and less dignified? See that you don't turn out like one of those unfortunates. But he's talking shit on other creatures. He's like, "Ooh, watch out being one of those poor things." Four, I guess. Progress. On progress. The last one was three. On progress. Whoever is making progress after learning from philosophers that desire is directed toward good things and avoidance directed toward bad. And having also learned that impassivity and the good flow of life are not attained except through unerring desire and unfailing avoidance, that person will do away with desire altogether, or else defer it to another time and exercise avoidance only on things within the moral sphere, because they know that if they're to avoid anything outside the moral sphere, they're going to run into something contrary to their aversion and face disaster. But if true virtue holds this promise to secure happiness, impassivity, and a good flow of life, then progress towards virtue must involve progress towards these other states as well. For whatever the perfection of anything tends, progress is always an approach towards the same thing. So, how is that? Although we are now agreed about the nature of virtue, we still try to demonstrate progress in areas that are unrelated. What is the goal of virtue after all, except a life that flows smoothly? So who is making progress? The person who has read many Chrysippus's books? Is virtue no more than this, to become literate in Chrysippus? Because if that's what it is, then progress cannot amount to anything more than learning as much Chrysippus as we can. We are agreed, however, that virtue produces one thing, while maintaining that the approach to it, progress, results in something different. This person can read Chrysippus already by himself. You're making progress by God. Someone says sarcastically. Some progress, that is. Why do you make fun of him? Well, why do you try to distract him from coming to an awareness of his faults? Don't you want to show him the purpose of virtue so that he'll know what real progress consists in? Look for it in your volition, friend. That is, in your desire and avoidance. Make it your goal never to fail in your desires or experience things you would rather avoid. Try never to err in impulse and repulsion. Aim to be perfect also in the practice of attention and withholding judgment. All right, well, that's just not possible. You can't be perfect. Nobody's perfect. The imperfection is what makes humans humans, you know? If we were perfect, we'd probably be like robots or something. Being perfect isn't being human. Let's see. But the first subjects are the most essential. If you aim to be perfect when you're still anxious and apprehensive, how have you made progress? So let's see some evidence of it. But no, it's as if I were to say to an athlete, "Show me your shoulders," and he responded with, "Have a look at my weights." Get out of here with you and your gigantic weights, I'd say. What I want to see isn't the weights, but how you've profited from using them. Okay. Take the treatise on impulse and see how well I've read it, idiot. It's not that I'm after. I want to know how you put impulse and repulsion into practice and desire and avoidance as well. I want to know how you apply and prepare yourself and how you practice attention so that I can decide whether with you these functions operate in harmony with you, yeah, with harmony with nature. If you are, in fact, acting in accord with nature, then show me, and I will be the first to say that you're making progress. But otherwise, be off. Rather than just comment on books, you might as well go write one yourself. But in the end, what good will it do to you? Yeah, what good will it do you? You know what a whole book costs around 5 denarii. Man, they don't tell me what the translation for that. How much is 5 denarii, dude? Is the commentator then worth more than that? Don't put your purpose in one place and expect to see progress made somewhere else. Oh, that's kind of bars. Where is progress then? If there is anyone who renounces externals and attends instead to their character, cultivating and perfecting it so that it agrees with nature, making it honest and trustworthy, elevated, free, unchecked, and undeterred, and if they've learned that whoever desires or avoids things outside their control cannot be free or faithful, but has to shift and fluctuate right along with them, subject to anyone with the power to furnish or deprive them of these externals. And if from the moment they get up in the morning, they adhere to their ideals, eating and bathing like a person of integrity, putting their principles into practice in every situation they face, the way a runner does when he applies the principles of running, or a singer those of musicianship, that is, where you will see true progress embodied and find someone who has not wasted their time making the journey here from home. But anyone whose sole passion is reading books and who does little else besides, having moved here for this, my advice for them is to go back home immediately and attend to business there, because they left home for nothing. A student should practice how to expunge from his life sighs and sorrow, grief and disappointment, exclamations like "poor me" and "alas." He should learn what death is, as well as exile, jail, and hemlock, so at the end of the day he can say, like Socrates in prison, "Dear Crito, if it pleases the gods, so be it," instead of "Poor me, an old man, is this what old age held in store for me?" Don't imagine that I'm referring to anyone humble or obscure either. Priam says it, so does Oedipus, in fact. So does Oedipus. In fact, all the kings of legend can be found saying it. For what else are tragedies but the ordeals of people who have come to value externals tricked out in tragic verse? If I had to be deceived into believing that externals which lie outside our power are not man's proper concern, personally, I would consent to such a deception, provided it really could enable me to live an untroubled life in peace of mind. Which condition you prefer, you can determine for yourself. What does Chrysippus give us? To make certain, he says, that these doctrines promising freedom from passion and serenity are legitimate, take all my books, and you will find that the knowledge okay, and you will find that the knowledge that makes me impassive is faithful to and in accord with nature. How lucky we are! A benefactor, and how great a benefactor, has shown us the way. Men have erected altars to Triptolemus for giving us art of farming, but the man who found, disclosed, and explained the truth to everyone, not the truth that pertains just to living, but to living well, among who among you ever raised an altar, built a temple, erected a statue, or venerated God for that? We offer the gods sacrifice because they gave us wheat and wine, but they have produced such wonderful fruit in the human mind as part of their plan to bestow on humanity the true secret of happiness. Are we going to forget to express our gratitude to them on that account? Maybe. Let's see, what are we at? Is it almost? Got like 30 something left. This episode's not going to be terribly long, probably like 45 minutes or so, because I want to be able to upload it before I get to work. We'll give it another like 10 minutes or so. Ooh. Give it another like little 10 minutes. This is fun though, actually finally banging out some reading. Excuse me. 5. Against the skeptics. If a man objects to the truth that are all too evident, it is no easy task finding arguments that'll change his mind. Excuse me. This is proof neither of his own strength nor his teacher's weaknesses. Nor of his teacher's weakness. When someone caught in an argument hardens to stone, there is just no more reasoning with them. Now, a person can suffer two kinds of petrification, that of the intellect and that of the sense of honor. When somebody assumes a defiant stance, resolved neither to assent to self evident truths nor leave off fighting. Most of us dread the deadening of the body and will do anything to avoid it. About the deadening of the soul, however, we don't care one iota. Even in the case of the soul, we regard a man as pitiable if he is deficient in thinking or learning. We pity the mentally retarded and students with learning difficulties. But if somebody's sense of shame and respect are dead, we will actually call this determination. Do you realize that you are awake? No, any more than when I dream, I have the impression that I am awake. And is the one impression in no way different from the other? No. Can I go on reasoning with such a person? What fire or iron can be applied to him to make him conscious of his condition? He senses it, but pretends he doesn't. That makes him even worse off than a corpse. One person does not notice a contradiction in his reasoning. He is fortunate. Another person notices it all right, but does not budge and does not back down. He is even more unfortunate. His sense of honor and truthfulness has been excised, and his reason, not excised, but brutalized. Am I to call this strength of character? I can't, any more than I can apply the same name to the strength of degenerates that enable them to say and do in public whatever they please. On Providence. It is easy to praise Providence for everything that happens in the world, provided you have both the ability to see individual events in the context of the whole and a sense of gratitude. Without these, either you will not see the usefulness of what happens, or even supposing that you do see it, you will not be grateful for it. If God had created colors, but not the faculty of vision, colors would have been of little use. Or if God had created vision, but not made sure that objects could be seen, vision would have been worthless. And even if he had made them both, but not created light, then neither would have been of any value. So who contrived this universal combination of things to one another? Who fitted the sword to the scabbard, and the scabbard to the sword? No one. In the case of artifacts, it is just this kind of symmetry and structure that regularly persuade us that they must be the work of some artisan, instead of objects created at random. Do sword and scabbard testify to their creator, whereas visible things, vision and light, together do not? What about the desire of the male for sex with the female, and their ability to use organs constructed for that purpose? Don't they proclaim their creator too? All right then. What about the complex organization of the mind, built so that when we meet with sensible objects, we don't just have their forms impressed upon us, we make a selection from among them, and add and subtract impressions to form various kinds of mental combinations, and from certain ideas make inferences to others somehow related? Aren't such abilities able to make a big enough impression so that it becomes impossible for us to discount the possibility of a creator? If not, it's let us to explain who made them and how such an amazing and craftsman-like abilities came into being on accident by their own. Oh, excuse me. Are humans alone in possession of such skills? It's true that there are many skills distinctive to humans, skills that as a rational animal he uniquely needs. But the irrational animals share with man many of these same faculties. Do they also understand what happens? No, because use is one thing, understanding another. God needed animals that use impressions like us. He had special need of us, though, because we understand their use. See, that's what I've always found so, I guess, human-centric about religion, is that, like, there's no explanation why we're quote-unquote different. It's just, oh, God made us this way. It's like, okay, and what? Just because we're smart, like that makes us better? Like we're finding out now that like squids, dolphins, corvids, like ravens, crows, that bullshit. Those motherfuckers are smart too. I think there's also great apes like chimps and shit like that are starting to use tools. They're like in the Stone Age or whatever the fuck. So it's like, okay. So then how about an insert amount of time from here and those chimpanzees are now where we're at back then? Like that's what I've like a big problem I've always had with this perspective of like, oh, we're better than the beasts, we're better than the animals. Why? Because we're smart. It's like, motherfucker, we just spec'd in a whole bunch of evolution points on our brain. So yeah, you have these dickheads that spec'd in a whole bunch of points on like claws or on being fast or on being able to fly or being big or whatever the fuck. We just spec'd into having a big brain. So then with our big brain, we could make tools. And then those tools allowed us to make everything. The fuck? We're smart, so therefore God made us special. Oh, sorry, raccoon. You're just a dumb shit of raccoon. I'm special because I'm human. No. And then that's also such a human thing. Like, oh, everything was put here for us by God. Oh, these animals just exist for us to own them and conquer them. Like, no, that is no. We're just the same shitter thing that these things are, except we won the lottery, and we're living in a world where we run shit, right? Could have been a coin flip and fucking pigs run everything. And plot twist, what if it's a bunch of humans in a pen, and then we get tased and then turned into food, and then pig things eat us? What if pigs eat us and we taste good to pigs? What if we're bacon to other pigs? You ever think about that, huh? What if they made zoos and it was just filled with a whole bunch of humans? Like, and you look over here, you have the southwestern bigback, and it's just me in a cage, like, and they're like, oh my god, look at that orange bigback, ew. No, I always thought that was such a, I guess, egotistical way of viewing like our spot, our place in the universe and in the world is like, oh, well, God made us better for no discernible reason. We're just better, and everything owes us because we're better. It's like, no, we're not. The fuck, 100,000 years ago, we were running away from all this bullshit. We're getting eaten by these predators and killed by that bullshit. Like I said, we just specced into our brains, and our brains allowed us to make all these tools that then allowed us, that's literally how we won. Like, how do we kill a big elephant or how do we kill a giant mammoth? By using our brains. We scare it off into an area where it's like a cliff, and then you have Ooga Booga up here, and he drops a big old rock on its head, clunk, and then everybody else is stabbing it after it gets clunked. Like, we use our fucking mind, bro. It's not some divinity. It's not God. It's not any of that bullshit. It's just survival and adaptability. We are the best at surviving. We are the best at adapting and overcoming. That's why we're here. We're not better than anything. We're just better at surviving than everything. That's it. Plunk a shitter human in the ocean. Done. Stupid. Done. Eaten by whatever. KO'd. Done. But guess what? That's why we're here. That's why we live on land. Like, yeah, I always thought that was so stupid. Like, this idea that we're so special just because we're like a higher being or whatever the fuck. I'm like, nah, dude. We're just lucky that it was us and not some other primate or bird or whatever the fuck. Like I said, we could have been on Chicken World. There could be, highly advanced chickens, and we're just fucking pets for chickens. And we're just going around buck, 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 burk, buck, burk. That could be us in an alternate universe. That could be us right now on some rock way the fuck over there. And that's the other thing, too, that I thought was stupid as well. That my psychology class, what kind of turned me off from it, there's a lot of theological talk. Teleological? Whatever. Lots of God talk and philosophy. And one of the things similar to this that I thought was stupid, is like the watchmaker's hypothesis, where it's like, oh, well, these things are so intricate and so advanced and so well made that there's no way that this could have just randomly happened. It only but follows that this has to be made somehow by some intelligent creator. And it's like, no, you fucking dickneck. It takes time. Look at the Grand Canyon. What was the Grand Canyon 10,000 years ago? I don't know. Was it still as big? I don't know. But what I do know, or what I can understand, is that it takes a long time for shit to happen. It didn't just boom, big hole, right? So just in the same way that the Grand Canyon wasn't formed overnight, us being here and having big brains didn't happen overnight. There were many, many, many different versions of humans until we got here. There was like 20 something different versions of hominid living on Earth at the same time as Homo erectus. That's Neanderthals or a famous other one. That's how we have like blue eyes, big bones, whatever, right? There was other versions of us living and being at the same time. We're just the best version of that. And then from us, we kept going and evolving, you know what I'm saying? There was a whole bunch of shitter proto-humans, and then we fought each other, killed each other, and the best of the shitter proto-humans went on and became Homo sapiens. And then they went on and came and conquered the whole world. It's really, I guess at the end of the day, it really is just a belief system. But for me, it makes more sense to believe that gradually over time, minuscule changes happen that then made big changes. It's easier for me to believe in that and accept that versus everything just exists because of some inexplicable thing and that's it. It's like, oh, okay. That's it. Just everything, all of it, one thing. That's it. No more. No more questions. Thank you. Okay. Cool. Kind of takes like the curiosity and wonder out of life. I feel like it's like, so we're not gonna just like, I don't know, maybe the fact that we're in space. I feel like we don't like, we're so locked into our world. Like, oh, I have work at 2 p.m. Whatever the fuck. Like, we are floating in space right now. We're corkscrewing through fucking space, and I'm worried about clocking in at 2 p.m. What even is 2 p.m.? Nothing. It's just a construct. It's just man-made. No, there is no such thing as 2 p.m. It's just time that we make up, that we agree exists. But outside of it, it's nothing. Are humans alone in possession of such skills? It's true that there are many skills distinctive to humans, skills that as a rational animal he uniquely needs. But the irrational animals but the irrational animals share man many of the same faculties. Do they also understand what happens? No, because use is one thing, understanding another. God needed animals that use impressions like us. He had a special need for us, though, because we understand their use. Yeah. And so for the beasts, it is enough to eat, drink, sleep, and breed, and do whatever else it is that satisfies members of their kind. But for us, who have been given the faculty of understanding, that is not enough. Unless we act appropriately, methodically, and in line with our nature and constitution, we fall short of our proper purpose. Creatures whose constitutions are different have different ends and functions accordingly. So, for creatures whose constitution is exclusively designed for use on its own suffices. But where the capacity to understand that use is added, the creature will only reach its end by bringing that capacity into play. God created some beasts to be eaten, some to use in farming, some to supply us with cheese, and so on. Yeah, no, not at all. No, he didn't. No, not at all. It was more of like these creatures exist, we exist. Then we evolved to a point where, like, hey, we could use that for food. Hey, we could use that for food. Hey, we could use that to help us make other food. It wasn't, oh, this thing was made to give us food. This thing was put here. No, you shitter. That dude's just unfortunate and tastes delicious, and we fucking killed him and found out he tastes delicious. But he wasn't made to taste good for us. But he just exists. We murder him, and then we eat him. We're like, fuck, that's good. We should do more of that. This whole thinking that things are made for us because of divinity and because the divine is stupid, absolutely remedial. No, it's not. No, it's not. I hope an alien would come down and show us, no, bitch, it's not. Like, we're so egocentric, so human-centric. Oh, it's all for us. Oh, ugh. Remember when dickheads thought we're literally the center of the universe? Remember when motherfuckers are getting killed over that? Because they're like, actually, we're not. Kill him! It's the same bullshit. We're not the center of the universe. This shit was not made for us. We're just lucky to be here, and we're lucky we're on top. And for that, we should be thankful and be grateful instead of acting like we own the place. We should be glad that we're even invited inside to begin with. Because goddamn, we act like our daddy's the landlord and owns the place. But in reality, we're lucky we even got a fucking invite to begin with. Man brought into the world, however, to look upon God, to fulfill some functions, they don't need to comprehend impressions or make distinctions among them. Man was brought into the world, however, to look upon God and his works, and not just look, but appreciate. And so it is inexcusable for man to begin and end where beasts do. He should begin where they do, but only end where nature left off dealing with him, which is to say, in contemplation, understanding, and a manner of life otherwise adapted to his nature. Come to look upon and appreciate God's work at least once before you die. You eagerly travel to Olympia to see the work of Phidias, and all of you account it a shame to die never having seen the sight. But when there is no need to travel, when you already there because Zeus is present everywhere in his works, don't you want to look at and try to understand them? Will you never come to realization of who you are, what you've been born for, and the purpose of which the gift of vision was made in our case? But difficult and disagreeable things happen in life. Well, aren't difficulties found at Olympia? Don't you get hot and crowded? Isn't bathing a problem? Don't you get soaked through in your seats when it rains? Don't you finally get sick of the noise, the shouting, and the other irritations? I can only suppose that you weigh all those negatives against the worth of the show and choose in the end to be patient and put it up with it all. Furthermore, you have inner strengths that enable you to bear up with difficulties of every kind. You have even have been you have been given fortitude, courage, and patience. Why should I worry about what happens if I'm armed with the virtue of fortitude? Nothing can trouble or upset me or even seem annoying. Instead of meeting misfortune with groans and tears, I will call upon the faculty especially provided to deal with it. But my nose is running. What do you have hands for, idiot, if not to wipe it? But how is it right that there be running noses in the first place? Instead of thinking of protests, wouldn't it be easier just to wipe your nose? What would have become of Hercules, do you think, if there had been no lion, hydra, stag, or boar, and no savage criminals to rid the world of? What would he have done in the absence of such challenges? Obviously, he would have just rolled over in bed and gone back to sleep. So, by snoring his life away in luxury and comfort, he never would have developed into the mighty Hercules. And even if he had, what good would it have done him? What would have been the use of those arms, that physique, and that noble soul without crisis or conditions to stir him into action? In that case, perhaps he should have created them himself by searching for a lion to bring into his land, and a boar and a hydra. That would have been an act of a fool and a fanatic. Still, by showing up and being discovered, they proved useful as tests of Hercules' manhood. Now that you know all this, come and appreciate the resources you have, and when it is done, say, bring on whatever difficulties you like, Zeus. I have resources and a constitution that you gave me by means of which I can do myself credit whatever happens. That's kind of baller, being like, fuck you, God, I can handle it. You gave me the tools, I can handle it. Is that like the crux of those motherfuckers that are like, oh, God only gives us so much that we can handle, and oh, it's all a test. God's just testing us. Is this like the same thing? Like, oh, it's just a test. We'll be able to pass. Don't worry. It's like, can I not get tested? I'm good, bro. I'm not in school. I don't want to get tested. I don't like tests. Tests aren't fun. Can someone fuck off with these tests, Bill? I am not feeling these tests, Bill. Can somebody fuck off, please? But no, there you sit, worrying that certain events might happen, already upset and in a state about your present circumstances. So then you approach the gods. What else can come of such weakness except impiety? And yet God has not merely given us strength to tolerate troubles without being humiliated or undone, but as befitted a king and true father, he has given them to us free from constraint, compulsion, and impediment. He has put the whole matter into our control, not even reserving to himself any power to hinder us or stand in our way. And even though you have these powers free and entirely your own, you don't use them because you still don't realize what you have or where it came from. Instead, you sit crying and complaining, some of you blind to your benefactor and unable to acknowledge his existence, others assailing God with complaints and accusations from sheer meanness of spirit. I am prepared to show you that you have resources and a character naturally strong and resilient. Show me in return what grounds you have for being peevish and malcontent. Oh, that's fire. Shout out Lar for malcontent. Yeah, no, that's the other thing too about the big God. Like, if God does exist, God's most definitely a woman. I don't know who the fuck decided that, like, oh yeah, God's a dude, God's a man, but like, I don't know if anyone's like checked in recently, but last I checked in, wasn't it like women that make everything and like birth like, sure, a dude has to nut, but then isn't the woman the one carrying the baby and then delivering the baby and then bringing the baby into life? Like, if anything, life and creation, really, it's a dude? Nah. If God exists, God's a woman. 100%. I don't know who the fuck thought. Whoever came up with God has major daddy issues. That's first and foremost. Because, like, oh, God, dad, help me. Oh, daddy, help me. It's like, all right, weirdo. But no, if God does exist, God's most definitely a woman. Nature, nurturing, like, what is divinity than like motherhood? And nah, fuck that. Nah, God is most definitely, if God exists, God's most definitely a woman, not some creepy old man. Definitely not some old white man with a beard and the whole Jesus thing. None of that bullshit. If God exists, most definitely a woman, most definitely a loving entity, a loving creature. Um, yeah, no, I don't. I'm kind of about God and the whole divinity thing, but that's what we're here for. But I think we'll put a pin in it now, ladies and gentlemen. We've been going for a little minute. It's actually been like almost an hour or so. Yeah, we've been bumping for about an hour. Not too bad of an episode. I think we'll be clocking in about an hour, so I'm happy with that. I appreciate y'all for being tapped in. If you made it this far in the video, comment comment like a book emoji or maybe do like a book emoji, maybe say Epictetus. I don't know, book emoji, Epictetus, something like that. I appreciate y'all. Next week's episode, keep staying tuned. This is going up today, Sunday. So next episode will be going live middle of the week. So keep your eyes peeled. Maybe Thursday, Friday-ish, there should be a new episode on the podcast. Up on the mountain, finally. Keep your eyes peeled for that. Also, the Weed Tube. We'll have a new Weed Tube episode. I just got in some insane edibles, 10,000 milligram edibles, and then I'm going to go hotbox a cave. So if y'all want some weed content or you fuck with the weed content, make sure you go check that out. Also, check out the Twitch, twitch.tv/eelsauce. Been live every day the past 230 some days. So we'll be live today when this pod drops. So go check it out. And I appreciate y'all. Peace.